So you were talking about the issues of corruption, but I want us to zero in on you as a lawyer. You respect the due process of the law, and the government has been calling on people to respect the due process of the law. So, for instance, you are alleged to have committed an offense. So you should then go through the processes of the law until you are proven innocent or guilty. Is that not so?
Persecution and also weaponization of the law to go after the people who are our opponents is the worst weapon we have noticed was used by dictators in Africa. Camus Bonda, since 1966, after the promulgation of the First Republican Constitution of Malawi, in terms of Section 9 of that, the Constitution of that country, the president would call upon the arrest of people without even charge. So the same applies to what Camus Banda was doing in Malawi is happening to Zimbabwe. The law has now been weaponized, and Emmerson Mnangagwa is also applying the tactic of using one military coercion to the people who are his opponents, lawfare for him to arrest all opponents who are opposed to him. So for you to talk about due process of the law, when the real perpetrators of corruption itself are not being arrested, it really defeats logic. Mnangagwa has weaponized the law to persecute those people who are opposed to his government. And it is a fact that is known by everyone, and some of us were oblivious to the fact that Mnangagwa is now using the law and courts to persecute those people who are opposed to his regime. Not that we have committed any crime. Can you tell me one statement where I have urged the people of Zimbabwe to be violent, where I have incited violence? Where did I ever say a statement telling the people of Zimbabwe to engage in violent activity? We have just been speaking about the abhorrence of corruption in our country. So for him to say that there must be due process of the law, he must stop abusing the law and also the institutions of the state to persecute those people who are opposed to his government. It is a fact that there is no crime that we have committed, and this was only an attempt for him to make sure that he gets on against his opponents.
I want to go to your personal experiences while you were incarcerated. How is Chikurubi maximum prison like for you as you were in Limpopo?
Chikurubi maximum prison, I think I've described it in various media interviews that I've been getting since I came out of prison. It's one concentration camp, not different at all, in all material respects and in terms of description, different from the Nazi concentration camps, where people are put in their thousands in a place where it only wait to be habited by very few people. Chikurubi Maximum Prison is one of the worst prisons in the world, where thousands of people are confined there, and without any facilities, with no proper food, with nothing absolutely, no even clinical operations for the inmates, and the people there are surviving the lives that are worse than those of animals.
Tell us what you ate. What was your diet like?
In the morning, there is something which they call porridge, which is a mixture of mealie and some water, and so thin that a person would drink it. You don't eat the normal way you know about porridge, you drink it. And this is what they call their first meal. And then around 11, you are given some spinach that are mixed with water. They also mix mealie meal and water, and they make something which they describe as sansa, which is not sansa which we know in the real sense. It's some bodza thing that could have been brewed there, and some people are saying this is your lunch, and with spinach only mixed with water. And if you were to see the number of malnutrition and the way how frail and ailing the majority of inmates who are currently at Chikurubi Maximum Prison, you will be surprised and shocked.
Some would want to argue that prison is not a hotel where you are supposed to get 5-course meal or something of that luxury.
You
Do
must,
you agree with that?
you must go to section 50 of our constitution. It says that a detained person has the right to proper food.
Sorry.
You can go to section 50 of our constitution and also section 70 of the constitution. It says that detained persons have got the right to access to good food, also to welfare, and also to be given absolution facilities, and also for them to be given some places for them to exercise, and also to be in good health. There is no way where prisoners should be treated as if they have abdicated the rights that are provided for and protected in terms of the constitution. So the rights of the citizens is that they could only just have been confined in a place for them to serve their term, but they did not withdraw the rights which each and every citizen of this country must enjoy.
So would you say Chikurubi is a correctional facility?
It is not a correctional facility like what I told you. It is a concentration camp where people are dying on a daily basis, where people are sick and ailing, where people are not provided for with proper food, where abuse of inmates in prison by prison guards is so shocking and astonishing. We have witnessed the beatings for no apparent reason. Just one of the inmates was beaten on my presence by one of the prison guards who simply said, "The way you are looking at me, I don't like it. Why are you looking at me like that?" Then that person was bashed and beaten badly. But I confronted the prison guard saying, "I cannot accept these human rights abuses because the people here must not be abused." People are asked to be saved in mass, where 500 inmates in a cell are asked to be naked and to be naked, and you are saved while you are all naked as a group and not as individuals. But in terms of the Prisons Act and our constitution, it provides that individuals are, entitled to privacy in terms of the way how they should be displayed to the world. But at Chikurubi Maximum Prison, people are asked to be naked en masse. All your private parts and everything will be bare for everybody to see.
And were you subjected to this yourself?
Not me. I could not accept the abuse of human rights because I'm a lawyer. I knew my rights. I refused. They could not have abused me that way. I could not have even tolerated it in any way. But I've seen all the prisoners at Chikurubi Maximum Prison being brought in a hall, all of them asked to be naked in mass, and that they were saying that they are doing searches. I've never seen such inhuman and degrading treatment like the one that I've witnessed at Chikurubi Maximum Prison. So primitive is the operations of our prisons that we have to take action. Fortunately, I've been given instructions by a number of inmates there. They've already written their affidavits. I am with their affidavits here to file a constitutional court application to really make sure that these human rights abuses come to an end as soon as possible.
So would say your arrest and detention at Chikurubi could be actually a good thing?
It could be a blessing to the majority of the 3,000 plus inmates who are at Chikurubi Maximum Prison. Because the way how they are surviving, the way how people were contracting coronavirus, many people dying of COVID-19 and being buried privately without the knowledge of the nation, and when many people have been abused without the knowledge of what is happening at Chikurubi Maximum Prison, because since they stopped visits at that prison, there was an escalation of human rights abuses and maltreatment of inmates at Chikurubi Maximum Prison.
You talk of people dying of COVID. Do you have names? Do you have
No,
numbers?
the inmates were just dying, but we could not know their names. It's over 3,000, and you are put into different classes. Myself, I was allocated into the D class, as if I am one of the. And also, what you have to understand is that Chikurubi is for the convicted prisoners, not people who were on remand like me. It is me, Opal Shimono, and Jacob Migarofumwe. We had to serve a prison sentence with convicted people, with convicted prisoners, and she could be maximum prison. But in terms of the law, section 63 of the Prison Act is very clear that the prisoners must be kept in terms of their categories. Those females in their own prison, the unconvicted prisoners must be kept in a remand prison. But ourselves, we kept in a prison where it was where it houses only convicted prisoners.
Why so?
Because of the hard-heartedness, brutality, and also a sheer cruelty by the regime. Sadists who wanted to enjoy that these people must be given enough and adequate punishment for them not to dare challenge Emmerson Mnangagwa's regime.
And did that work?
It will never work because fighting for the rights, for the civil liberties, freedom of the people, and an equally just society is a calling. You have to understand that when a person is in politics, I could just have been like you, a journalist, but I am here for the service of the generality of the people of Zimbabwe. This is not something that you do as a hobby. It is not a hobby for you to be involved in politics, but it is a calling by God. So it is a calling that we put things correct,
but
which have not been done well by this regime for a long time.
Do you understand the pain that you put your family through as you were in prison? And this is not the first time. The other time you alleged that you were abducted from Harare Central and you ended up in Mashingo. Do you consider that?
But however, you cannot stop the People's Project on the basis of the brutality of the regime. It must embody yourself to make sure that you want to create a society totally different and opposite to what the people of Zimbabwe are currently enjoying in their own land. And we must be determined to make sure that during our lifetime, freedom must come.
What is your benefit in all this?
The freedom of the people does not cannot be equalized to any amount of gold or silver. It is the calling whereby God wants his people to be governed in a proper way. And we cannot allow ourselves to be improperly governed on the basis that we benefit nothing out of it, but on the basis that we want our country to have our people enjoy their freedoms.
But when you suffer alone. As you were saying.
But there was massive solidarity and support by the majority of Zimbabweans, including you. You could not have been here if you could not have been sympathetic on the abuse that I've gone through by this regime. You are here on the basis that you have noticed that there was unfair. That there was unfair maltreatment of my person. So the massive support we have obtained from the people of Zimbabwe and also the world at large shows that there is a cause to fight. But also you have to understand that this thing has not started only with Job Scully, but history tells us that many people have sacrificed their lives for the common good of other people. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison for South Africa to be able to become a democracy. Even Robert Mugabe himself during the period of the liberation struggle, Joshua Nkomo, and many people in the world, including Martin Luther, he said he would desire longevity of his life, but he will not be able to be with the people of America when they reach the destination. So there are many people who have committed themselves to the cause of the majority.
Some have said that Job Scala, Wiwa as you're called, you continue to pursue student activism where you get popularity from being arrested and from pushing the buttons of the government.
That's stupidity. The most fundamental aspect you have to understand is that there is no activism in speaking the truth. Why I was just recently arrested is that I spoke strongly against corruption together with Leopold Chimono and Jacob Garofong. So if people would think that we must be silent whilst we see that our country is going down the drain, they must be joking. We'll continue to hold this government accountable in terms of how they are running public affairs in our country. Public affairs does not belong to any individual, but it belongs and also affects myself and the majority of the generality of the people of Zimbabwe. So speaking out against the evil and ills of the government is the one that inspires me to continue fighting for the common good of the people of Zimbabwe.
You had a health scare in Chikumbi, and your lawyers were battling to get you out because of that health scare. Can you share with us what it was?
No, I was not even feeling well the whole of yesterday until up to today. I think you have just arrived. The doctors were here. They've come and they gave me medical examination. They have also treated me. They have also managed to make sure that I am restored to my proper healthy fitting and fitting better now. After I have been treated with the doctors, I could have rested, but because you have become my visitors, there is no way I could have ignored you, but also to give you the chunk of the time for you to talk to me.
So when you were not feeling well, what happened? Did you get any medical attention?
In prison or where?
In prison, yes.
Now, on the basis that my relatives and also my lawyers, including my medical doctor, were not allowed to come to Chikumbi Maximum Prison. They said that the government has given them the directive that they must not allow us to obtain visitors, and most of the time it was very difficult for our relatives and even our lawyers to visit us. I think we have heard our lawyers coming out public that they were not being allowed to give us an opportunity to be visited by our relatives, lawyers and medical practitioners.
How many days did you spend in remand prison? And how did you...
5 weeks. You have to know that I was arrested on the 21st of August, and if you count it to the 31st of August, it's 11 days, and also you paid. I was released on the 24th of August. Then you can add. It's a total of exactly 5 weeks in prison.
How did you survive that?
On the basis that you have to switch off your mind from the challenges that you meet in prison, that you are not getting the diet and also the comfort you have been getting while you are outside, while you are at your home like here, and you simply just accept the circumstances of the time, that this is where I am and I have to be bold. My mind must be adjusted to know the place where I am.
Did you at any time want to give up? Did you feel like this was too much for you?
No, it really embodied me on the basis of the massive support and messages that I received from the people of Zimbabwe. You have to also to understand that there are not all in the regime are evil. The many prison guards were also sneaking messages to us, telling us about what the people of Zimbabwe are saying, the way how this government has exposed itself to the international community, that it is a sadistic dictatorship that should not be allowed any other second again as presiders of our public affairs. So we have been obtaining messages of encouragement from various corners of the country through security guards through prison guards who were sympathetic to the cause, and it really embodied us. And at no any particular time did I ever feel that I must give up. However, of course, I would be disappointed by antics of betrayal by other people whom I would have thought that they would stand with me, but betrayed me during the hour of need. And at the end of the day, it also gave me a lesson that sometimes you must be able to know who shares with you the same common vision and who doesn't share with you the vision for the people of Zimbabwe and the freedom of everyone.
But did you tell us these comrades that...
No, I cannot say by name, but many people whom I trusted that they would be really standing with me firm, and some of them I have even asked my wife to send me messages to say, no guys, what's up? Why are you silent? While I've been expecting you to be vociferous about my incarceration in this country. And but however, it also taught me a lesson that they are not all those who say, Lord, Lord, who will enter the kingdom of heaven. Many people are pretenders. They really don't know how much individuals must sacrifice.
Are these comrades in your party or outside?
Generally, when you talk about institutional interest, this is the politics that has destroyed our country. The grievances and issues concerning the citizens of our country have outgrown individuals and political organizations. It's now citizens' concern. And for us to think that the party would be a solution to the current problems that are affecting our country, the problems and grievances of the citizens of Zimbabwe are cutting across political interests. The challenges we are meeting are also cutting across all professional bodies and all other sectors of our society. And there are also people in ZANU-PF who also share the same grievances, but are not members of the MTC. There are also people who are in other political parties and organizations who feel aggrieved by the way how our country is being run, but are not members of the MTC. So you must understand that the national grievances have now outgrown narrow political interests and narrow political pursuits, but are now issues of citizens' concern. The moment when these grievances and issues are solved, we will be able to go to our working place and for us to do our work without bothering anyone. But as long as these challenges are existing in our country, there are those people who are bold enough to continuously speak on behalf of the citizens. And this is the challenge that I've accepted. I will take on and never be silenced.
2023 is coming where the citizens of this country will be given an opportunity to elect a government of their choice.
While as we have been knowing all years that the manipulation of the will of the people in our country has been an exercise by those who are currently in power. It is a public secret that Emmerson Mnangagwa did not win the last elections in 2018. It is clear, with all material respect, that Nelson Chamisa defeated Emmerson Mnangagwa in 2018. And the facts are there that the 50.5% win margin which he gave himself has been manipulated and rigged election results. But the fact of the matter is that since 2000, ZANU-PF have been losing all elections. If you go and ask people who have got internal information like Dr. Ingo Mandaza on how the elections have been, how the 2002 presidential elections were rigged, 2008, Morgan Tsvangirai won openly with a wider margin, which was trimmed down to 47.49 on the grounds that they wanted to create a rerun with Robert Mugabe. So for us to think that elections would become a solution to our country without voicing the need for the people and the will of the people to be respected, and something that we are realizing that these people are not yet prepared to accept that the people of Zimbabwe do not like them to continue presiding over their affairs anymore. So for us, 2023, for me, please, I am not interested to hear about election issues first. We want the issues of respecting the will of the people to be solved first before we go to elections. What will I tell a voter tomorrow if he asks me, what is your plan and strategy for you to protect our vote? Because since 2000 we have been voting for you, but you did not assume power. So basically you have to understand the issue of elections in this country is no longer going to be the solution that would bring freedom to our people. It is going to be brought by the citizens themselves.
How do you bring this out? As the MDC Alliance, I assume that's the party that you belong to, is being torn left, right, and center. You've been losing councillors, you've lost MPs, and
that is a sideshow which Emmerson Mnangagwa has managed to create in our country. He has managed to brew a crisis for the MDC Alliance and for them to be focused on more trivial issues of internal battles and defocus ourselves from questioning and bringing Emerson Mnangagwa's government to accountability for them to make sure that this country is governed properly and that human rights abuses are stopped, torture is stopped, abductions of citizens is stopped, and that they must be able to give economic reforms that will be able to bring a living wage to all the public servants in our country. Today, I'm telling you that the salary of a prison guard is worth 3 road runners. So is the salary of a teacher. My wife is a teacher of almost 28 years experience, but she is getting a salary that I laugh at every month to say, is this the money that why you leave this house? That is the money that a soldier who is sent to beat people in the streets and in the townships is getting. This is the money a nurse is getting. And medical doctors, the doctors who have come here to treat me, I asked them, how much is a medical doctors currently getting? And he said, ourselves senior doctors, the government is remunerating us 15,000 RTGs. A medical doctor of 30 years experience still being paid 15,000 RTGs, almost $100 US. A nurse being paid around $30 US. And you know how much is a road runner? A road runner costs $10. And they are getting a salary worth only 3 road runners. So the boy who is looking after my home in the village is getting better than a teacher, is getting better than a prison guard, is being salaried better than a soldier.
How do we find a solution then to this crisis of Zimbabwe? If you...
No, the solution is very clear. That the people of Zimbabwe must be allowed to exercise their sovereignty by having people of their own choice to govern this country. And this thing will come after citizens have demanded that their vote must be protected and no one should interfere with the will of the people.
When you say no one should interfere with the will of the people, what do you mean exactly?
That we must be able to open our electoral process. It must be transparent. United Nations must be allowed to come and observe our elections. All other international bodies, the African Union.
But the Commonwealth was there in the last elections. All people, it was opened up. And you still say it.
That's why the Commonwealth, after they are observing the elections, Emerson Mnangagwa had sent a battalion of soldiers into the streets to come and shoot people point blank so that he would be rigging elections. People were shot on the 1st of August after elections were held on the 31st of July. On the glare of all these international observers. So the time must come when the truth is said that we have never had a free and fair electoral process in our country. And that thing has to be stopped before any other elections to usher in a true people's government is put in place.
Whilst you were in prison, Thokozani Kupe took the party name MDC Alliance. She said she will be contesting the by-elections when they do come as the MDC Alliance. Now, what is your new party name?
Basically, I'm not even interested in those individual persons. It's not a panacea to the problems that the people of Zimbabwe are currently facing. The problems of Zimbabwe are bigger than the internal fights of individuals in the MDC. I'm more worried about the national crisis, about the national problems.
But the political party is the vehicle to bring that change.
But at the end of the day,
but you're not worried that you do not have now that.
But at the end of the day, people are continuously being abducted on a daily basis. Tawanda Mchei, a young boy, a university student was abducted, while we are focusing on the internal fights of names of a political party. But so at the end of the day, we are not worried about names of political parties. We can even call ourselves whatever we want at any given time. But I haven't yet been briefed by my colleagues on the way forward, as you understand that I have just been a day out of prison. I haven't yet been fully briefed about things that have been happening in my absence. I have to be briefed first, and then we can find a way forward. There are many way forwards, but those things, blessing, to tell you the truth, it is exactly what Mnangagwa wants. He wants us to be narrowed and focused on non-productive disputes, while he continues abducting people, while he continues to torture people, while he continues persecuting and imprisoning opposition figures. Just imagine, when I was just coming out of prison yesterday, today they have taken Joanna Mamombe back into prison. And the people will be fighting over the part name, but while this Joanna Mamombe is being persecuted in prison, she has lost her liberty. This is a young woman who still aspires for her to enjoy the fruits of youthhood, but cannot do that on the basis of the persecution of the state. So exactly, they want us to talk about the names of the party, while they say our own are being persecuted. And that is something that I'm not interested on. I'm interested on the liberties of our people. And if our people are continuously being persecuted, and we are being asked to talk about political party names, this one has announced that I am now MDCT, to tomorrow I am MDC Alliance, then the day after that I am MDC that and that, and for us to concentrate on that, whilst we lose sight of the evil of this man, on the way how he is running state of affairs, on how he is persecuting all of us. No matter whether you will have a party name or not, but at the end of the day, when citizens are not given an opportunity for them to freely exercise their democratic right, it is a waste of time. Now is for us to focus on real issues, the grievances of our nation. How do we fix the issues of corruption? How do we deal with the plunder of our national resources that is taking place on a daily basis by Emmerson Mnangagwa, surrogates and cohorts in his regime? These people are looting our country, and whilst we are not being oblivious to the real challenges our country is facing.
But your party is also accused of looting. You have your councillors have been
those who have been looting must go to prison. Why are they not being arrested? If anybody who involves himself in corruption is caught, no matter who he is, even if that person is my own son, must go to prison. He doesn't worth living in our society. So the same applies.
But your party then turns around and says it's persecution. You've released statements saying that the mayor of Harare...
I've never come across that statement. Maybe it was issued while I was in prison, but I don't think that my party at any particular time will ever defend corruption. I don't think so. If it happened during my absence while I was in prison, it's an unfortunate statement which I will not associate myself with.
It happened while you were not in prison, when Honorable, the former mayor of Harare, whose worship Goba, was arrested. Your party said that this was persecution.
I did not see that statement, and I don't know when was he arrested?
Before July 31.
Before the 31st of July. Before the 31st of July.
Yes.
I didn't even know about that.
You do not know that?
Yeah, because at that time you have to understand that we were busy running up and down, putting logistics on how 31st of July could become a success.
You are not aware that Honorable
I am not aware, honestly, to be very free with you.
that he was arrested and spent nights in custody.
I'm not really aware, because you have to understand that towards the 31st of July, I was now I dispersed from my base here and went to my rural village where news were not very able, were not coming on daily basis. Yeah, so I have to be briefed with some of these developments which happen.
So I want to hear from you. What is the way forward for you as an individual and the institutions that you represent in tackling this crisis that you talk about?
No, the issue is very clear. We will not be silenced. We will continue heightening tensions in our country and also in the international community to tell them that things are not well in Zimbabwe. We will ask and vigorously campaign for the international community to now intervene in our affairs.
Do you think that
And
is where the
also,
solution is?
also in terms of Article in terms of Article 7 of the United Nations Charter. The United Nations Security Council is entitled for them to intervene on humanitarian grounds on states whose abuse for human rights has gone beyond bounds. And in Zimbabwe, we are now campaigning for it to be put on the agenda of the United Nations Security Council for the intervention of the United Nations in our state of affairs.
How are you going to be campaigning? So by what? By staging abductions?
There were no any abductions that were staged. Evidence is already there, overwhelming evidence of what this regime has been doing in the recent past. My persecution and that of Hopewell Chingono, Jacob Ngaruvumwe, and Joanna Mamombe and others is enough evidence for the United Nations to make sure that, to realize that there is really a crisis in Zimbabwe, where dissenting voices are not allowed to be heard and to speak out.
You're not allowed to speak out, but you continue to speak out. You continue to exist as an opposition political party. Is that not democracy?
When you speak out and get incarcerated for 5 weeks without even trial, when you are a remand prisoner, you are being confined in a maximum prison only reserved for those convicted prisoners, then you think that there is rule of law and constitutionalism in a state. It means that the wheels have gone off, and these are issues of interest in terms of international law, that the United Nations should intervene on humanitarian grounds.
So, your party has also been talking about dialogue. Do you think that you can be able to have
Dialogue with who?
with the president of this country?
I'm not interested in that subject.
Mm.
Yeah, because I'm not interested to talk to Emerson Mnangagwa. Myself personally, at a personal level, I'm answering as job scholar. Not interested to talk to Mnangagwa. Talk to him about what? He must simply accept the verdict of the people of Zimbabwe, that they don't want him as the president, they want to elect their own leader. That's all. Anybody who wants to talk to him, they are free to do it, but not me. At an individual level, I'm not interested.
So
Talk to Emerson.
how do we bridge bridges? How do you find common ground when you are not interested in talking to each other?
But you
as
cannot find common ground with an aggressor of human rights. This man has been abusing the citizens of this country since 1980. He is so much mentioned in the atrocities that happened in Matabele from 1980 to 1987. His name and footprints are all over the genocide which was committed in our country in 2008 after Morgan Tsvangirai won elections. The long sleeve and short sleeves are authored by him, not anyone, as the hatchet boy of Robert Mugabe during his time of rulership in this country. So for me to sit down with such an evil man to say that we want to discuss the way forward about Zimbabwe will not be something that I would to accept. He also, don't forget, he is a very deceitful character. He will deceive you into believing that you are going the same route, while he is plotting for your death or downfall. So you must be, when you talk to him, and just my advice to those people who want to be on the same table with him, please, when you engage him greet him with a long spoon. Otherwise, you are taking yourself into a dungeon. You will not be able to come out.
Are these words of a bitter man?
Bitter about what?
You have been harassed, you've been arrested, and now you're angry.
No, I'm not even angry about him. But the truth of the matter is that he is one man whom I will not accept to be anywhere near him on the basis of his history of human rights abuses, matters that have happened in this country, people who have been tortured and who have suffered under his administration and under his command.
But he's your president.
It's not my president at all. It's not my president. It's your president, not mine. Mnangagwa is not my president. I am living in this country without a president. He's not my president. He is not my president. I repeat it the 50th time.
But he's the one who signs for your allowances as a member of parliament. It's the one.
Allowance does not belong to himself or to his mother. It belongs to the taxpayers of this country. That man, the moment when you want to privatize national fiscals to an individual, that's why looting and plunder is happening in our country. That man does not belong to individuals. It is the taxes. It belongs to the taxpayers' money. All Zimbabweans, including my gogo at home, is a taxpayer. You know, everyone has 2% tax surcharge that is charged at every transaction of EcoCash or any bank transaction. So everybody in Zimbabwe is now a taxpayer. So the money which people are being paid in parliament is from the taxpayers. It's not an individual, it's not coming from an individual wallet.
Are you saying you do not recognize executive authority in this country?
I don't recognize executive authority. Mnangagwa is not there on the will of the people of Zimbabwe. He is there through manipulation and use of force and coercion for him to remain in power. He killed people on the 1st of August here. He shot them when they were demanding accountability on how our elections were run. And also when they were demanding results, he shot and killed people in the streets. And you think that I can accept that person as a president? He is not my president.
I want you to talk to the people of Zimbabwe. I'll give you an opportunity to talk to the people of Zimbabwe as we close. What you hope for them and what you are going to do.
My promise to the people of Zimbabwe is that freedom is coming. Don't be cowed down. Be bold. Be strong. And let we as the people of Zimbabwe decide the destiny of our nation. I thank you.
What are you going to do to get to that destiny?
It will come. We will remain bold, consistent, and never relent on our wish to see a free society.
I want to thank you very much, Honorable Job Scala, for joining us. Now, this was the situation right now with Honorable Job Scala, Member of Parliament here in St. Mary's. We were tapping into his experiences, we're tapping into his vision for the future and what he stands for. I'm sure you've heard him loud and clear. His aspirations for the people of Zimbabwe, his determination, unshaken, unbroken. After 5 weeks in Chikurubi maximum prison, where he still faces, he has to face his day in court for over allegations of inciting public violence and also wanting to remove a constitutionally elected government, which in his own words he says it was not constitutionally elected. We wait to see. I am Blessed Mhlanga, and this is the situation right now.